Man, I've been trying to tell you guys, Russia is not our biggest problem. They're a problem. They're a problem, but they are not our biggest problem. China is going crazy. We just found a secret biolab here in near San Fran or near the Fresno County in California that is owned by a Chinese company. Obviously, if it's a biolab, it's got ties to the Chinese Communist Party. And on top of that, this company got federal funding, so American taxpayer funds from the pandemic when they gave out the PPP loans. So we're gonna get into it, guys. This is getting crazy. They are getting very intricate and for some reason they're going right under our noses without anybody really understanding that what they're doing until years later. So this is very concerning, guys. Very concerning. We got to be aware of it. So we're going to hop into it, guys. But welcome to Getting to the Facts. I'm your host, Andrew Curiel, and we're going to start this Monday off right, guys. So we're going to hop right into it here. We got this first article, and this is from the local news here in Riddeley at Cron 4. An investigation into a warehouse near Fresno uncovered a large-scale illegal medical lab complete with bioengineered mice, infectious agents, nearly 30 refrigerators and freezers, some of which were non-operational, incubators, and more, leaving officials shocked and the public worried. Local, state, and federal agencies are all involved, and what prompted this investigation was a simple garden hose that was illegally attached and coming out of a wall in the back of the building. It was inside an ordinary warehouse located on I and Ninth Streets in the city of Riddeley that a disturbing and shocking discovery was made back in April. This was made back in April, guys, and they just now, like this last week, got this stuff taken care of. What was supposed to be an empty building used only for storage was home to a black market type of lab testing facility. So there was over 800 different chemicals on site in different bottles of different acids. Unfortunately, a lot of these are being categorized under unknown chemicals, Prado explained. The discovery was made after a local code enforcement officer noticed a garden hose poking out of the back of a building. Frankly, we knew that that should not have been there, and when she went to investigate, she found that there was activity or operation or something happening within that building, Ziba said. The city then obtained several search warrants to enter the building, and once inside, they found something they had never seen. There was a special room that was built housing about 1,000 white lab mice, Ziba explained. What they found was absolutely terrifying. Through their statements that they were doing some testing on laboratory mice that would help them support developing the COVID test kits that they had on site, Prado said. Health officials discovered nearly 1,000 lab mice, 200 of which were already dead. Also found were thousands of vials, many of which contained biohazardous materials, including human blood and other unknown substances. Jesus, guys. A lot of these labels had been removed from bottles, so there was only so much testing we could do to those chemicals, Prado continued. According to court documents, officials with the Centers for Disease Control tested what they could and determined that at least 20 potentially infectious viral, bacterial, and parasitic agents were present, including E. coli, malaria, and even COVID. Like, guys, what the? This is insane. And they've been doing this for a minute. And then even when the state officials were let known about what they just found, or the potential of, hey, we need to go check this out, it took them from April till July to actually do anything about it. I mean, this is how slow the government works. This is why I don't want the government controlling hardly anything. They already mess up the postal service. The postal service sucks. Even when you look at the state government, the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, like that is terrible. Okay, you know how long of a wait it is in the DMV? Like, Lord Jesus, I never want to go, like, ever. So this is just very, very concerning, guys. And again, we're talking about China. Okay, this is something where we need to have more respect, I think, for how advanced that they've gotten. Like, they're not just a third world country anymore. They are a superpower in this world. We are still the bigger superpower, but they are climbing. And the reason why they're able to climb while still having most of their population living in abject poverty is because they are a communist country and they can completely control all facets of the country whenever they feel like it. So it's just, we need to be more aware of what the hell is going on here, guys. And I actually got this little video clip too, that I was able to find where we actually gave this company, okay, we get, in which the name of the company, I think it's down here too, is Prestige Biotech. I'm almost positive. It'll say in the next video, but I believe it's Prestige Biotech. And guys, they got over $150,000 of PPP loans that were forgiven PPP loans. So they didn't have to pay it back either. We gave a Chinese company PPP loans. Why don't they just go to their government for money? Why are we even giving them this money? Like, we should not be looking at companies, especially biolab companies that are a part of China. Even if they're in the United States, we do not give them the same respect as United States companies. Okay, even companies that are part of Western society. I just do not like the fact that we're treating these companies like they're regular private companies when we know damn well they're not. They have to have a member of the Chinese Communist Party attached to every one of these companies. They are a hand of the Chinese Communist Party. That's why we can't be treating them like just a regular business, like a regular company. And that's what's freaking concerning, guys. So we're going to watch this clip here. And I think you guys are really going to like it. Just gives us a little bit more of a breakdown on, and actually some pictures of what they actually saw inside. And it's crazy, guys. It's absolutely crazy. So we're going to see this here and see what we got.
Information coming out about an illegal medical lab discovered in Riddeley.
That includes more than $100,000 of federal funding they received during the pandemic. CBS 47's Juanita Adame uncovered this story a week ago today and has the latest developments for us tonight.
As more is uncovered about this lab, officials tell us they are deeply concerned about how all of this was able to fall through the cracks with no one taking notice any sooner. Universal Meditech was approved for and received 2 federally funded loans, each one with a value of nearly $75,000.
They applied and received $150,000 in PPP loans, which were forgiven as well, which is very troubling because this, of course, is taxpayer dollars.
The first loan was approved back in April of 2020 and forgiven in July of 2021.
Now that we're finding that government dollars, they had applied for PPP loans, had received PPP loans. Again, it's very troubling just seeing now today how they were operating.
The second loan, approved in February of 2021, was forgiven just 1 year later in February of 2022.
Prior to all of this, the facility located in the city of Fresno in 2019 was welcomed by the city of Fresno and operated there until the end of 2022.
Nathan Magsig, who represents District 5 for the Fresno County Board of Supervisors, said as they dig deeper into the unauthorized lab, it was apparent they were operating without any kind of oversight.
A lot of the test kits and materials that they have produced, there's information on websites that some of those test kits had to be recalled because proper protocols weren't being followed.
And it was back in October of 2022 that a City of Fresno code enforcement officer also raised concerns about the building on Fortune Avenue and the chemicals located there.
And so as we worked together, our number one goal was to protect the public, contain the site, and then bring in state and federal agencies to assist with the cleanup and remediation of this particular site.
Now, Magsig said it's about looking ahead for some changes.
I'm very hopeful that at the state level and federal level, there will be legislation that comes out to prevent something like this happening into the future.
We also learned that Universal Meditech is trying to get clearance from the city of Fresno to reopen one of their labs here in Fresno near the Fresno Yosemite International Airport. No word yet on how the Fresno City Council will respond to that. Reporting in Fresno, Juanita Adame, CBS 47 Eyewitness News.
Guys, this is nuts. I mean, absolutely crazy how we are allowing this. I just don't have any clue why our government officials are not worried about this. Like, we've been doing business with China for so long, and we've boosted them to this superpower era that we're in with them. We've made them bigger than they really should be. They've stolen all of our technology that we brought over there, company wise, business wise. They've just taken it. They've taken it, re-engineered it, made a cheaper version of it, kind of like IKEA. It's just, I mean, guys, this should be very, very concerning for everybody. I mean, this is how we have another outbreak. And then if it happens here in the United States, they're going to say it was the United States' fault. But what if it's a Chinese biolab that's here in the United States that accidentally gets leaked? I mean, God, it's concerning in all levels, guys. And we really just need to pay attention to it. And like I said, China, we cannot trust them. We can't trust them. They want to control their population in a way that we don't want to do that here, at least yet. It seems like people are more and more in line with the government telling them what to do. But when you do a deep dive into how China actually treats their citizens and how they treated them during COVID, during the pandemic, I mean, they welded apartment doors shut, guys. I mean, they had a strict curfew. Like, only one person of the household could go out and get food. Like, it was crazy over there. I mean, it was crazy here, but it was crazier over there. Okay. And we just need to be aware of what the hell is going on in the world. We can't be in this bubble in the United States that it seems like we love to be in, which I understand. It's nice. It seems like we don't even have to experience half the struggles the rest of the world experiences, especially when like a war in Ukraine's going on. If we were in Europe, we would get hit by this, economically a lot more, but we're not. And it's because we're so big. We're such a big country, but we're also not even on the same continent. So, we just can't take advantage of our situation, guys. Like, we've been taking advantage for the last 30 years. And this is one of those things. I mean, nobody even knew this biolab was in there. No state official or health official even knew, because they didn't even have to tell the local health officials and everything in the state, because it was a federal thing. So they just let the federal government know. So it's just miscommunication all over the board. China is smart. They took advantage of it. And they're taking advantage in other ways too, which we're going to get in here as well. I got this article from CNN. And this is BlackRock and Morgan Stanley, investment companies, basically. And they're doing major business with China. A congressional select committee is investigating BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, and MSCI, which is Morgan Stanley, one of the biggest providers of index funds, to determine whether they are investing American savings in Chinese companies that are blacklisted by the U.S. government security and human rights issues. The Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party of the U.S. House of Representatives sent letters to BlackRock CEO Larry Fink and MSCI CEO Henry Fernandez on Monday, notifying both parties that it is investigating their investments in certain Chinese companies, according to documents reviewed by CNN. Our review has shown that as a direct result of decisions made by MSCI, these Americans are now unwittingly funding PRC companies that develop and build weapons for the People's Liberation Army, the PRC's military, and advance the CCP's stated mission of technological supremacy, wrote the Select Committee's chairman, Republican Rep. Mike Gallagher of Wisconsin, and its ranking member, Rep. Raha Krishnamurthy, a Democrat from Illinois. The committee sent an identical letter to BlackRock. By sending massive amounts of American money to companies linked to the Chinese military and human rights abuses, the letter said BlackRock and MSCI are exacerbating an already significant national security threat and undermining American values. The committee said it found that BlackRock had invested more than $429 million across 5 funds into Chinese companies that act directly against the interests of the United States. They also said that they identified at least 40 companies listed on the MSCI indexes that are designated on governmental red flag lists. The majority of our clients' investments in China are through index funds, and we are one of 16 asset managers currently offering U.S. index funds investing in Chinese companies. I mean, guys, this is why I don't like companies like BlackRock, these big portfolio companies. I don't even like any company. I don't like any company that buys up all these other assets, all these other smaller businesses, and they're this one big conglomerate now, and they have all this money that, and the more money you have as a corporation, the more influence you have across the world when it comes to world politics and world governments. Okay, them giving over 400 million to 5 companies that are linked to the blacklisted list that we have for companies in China. That's concerning as hell. These companies, we're not trying to get in the way of them freely being able to do business. But when you're an American company, which I believe BlackRock is, if I'm not mistaken, when you're an American company, you can't be putting the American way of life at risk by funneling that. I mean, that is some crazy money. That's almost $500 million into Chinese companies. I mean, guys, when are we going to get upset about this? I mean, this is why China is very concerning to me, because they've gotten so smart with how they're getting into the country and gaining influence within our country. It's not like they're just walking in being like, hey, I'm a member of the Chinese Communist Party, let me into the United States. No, they're not doing that. What they're doing is they're doing backdoor meetings with BlackRock, and they're doing backdoor meetings with federal government agencies and the lobbyist groups that they have connections with, and be like, hey, you should let us put a biolab in a couple different places in different cities. Don't worry, we'll take care of them. Don't worry about that. Like, guys, they're smart. They are smart. And they've dumbed down the population in the United States so much to where we aren't even seeing this. I bet you half the people in the country don't even know about the things that we just talked about here when it comes to China. Like, this is what's concerning. This is what's going to lead to a disaster of a war if we allow China to get to the point where they feel they have enough equipment, enough technological supremacy against us, whether they feel that we aren't a connected country anymore, which we're very polarized at the moment. So it's like all these dominoes are lining up perfectly for the Chinese Communist Party. They're lining up perfectly, and we're allowing it to happen. So we just need to wake up a little bit, guys, and really just pay attention to what the hell is going on, because this is really concerning. And it's not concerning for the immediate as much as I'm concerned about 10 to 20 years from now, because these are just the dominoes that keep falling. And if we are not going to do something to stop this and get our politicians to do something to stop this, we are going to be absolutely screwed in 15 years, 15, 20 years, maybe even earlier if it keeps exponentially just picking up speed. But we're going to watch this video too, guys. This is from Breaking Points, another good podcast to watch. If you haven't subscribed to Breaking Points, I definitely recommend to do so. They have like a Republican and a liberal person talking about the new, like, different things going on around the United States and around the world. So it gives more of an unbiased viewpoint on a lot of things. So definitely recommend to check them out. And they'll give you a lot of good news. But we're going to watch this little clip. We're not going to watch this whole video, okay? But we're going to watch about 2 minutes of it. Really breaks down, and it shows the lists of major industries that Morgan Stanley and BlackRock were giving the money to within their portfolio, within their index funds and all that. So let's watch this real quick.
Yeah, this is really interesting because if we put the next set of elements up on the screen, the specific allegations are pretty fascinating. You would think like people would have more shame than BlackRock seems to. This is the House Select Committee in China led by Mike Gallagher. The committee found that BlackRock, across just 5 funds, as Philip Wegman of Real Clear Politics reports, invested more than $429 million in companies that the committee says pose a national security risk to the U.S. Now, is that just bloated neoconservative language from the committee? I don't know. If we dive in and keep going on this tweet thread, they have the receipts. They have some really specific receipts, actually. We're talking about aviation companies. We're talking about aircrafts for the People's Liberation Army. We're talking about cell phone telecommunications infrastructure in the CCP spy apparatus. If you're watching this, you see these all listed out on the screen. This is Morgan Stanley, not BlackRock, everything that I just listed out. We can then move to the BlackRock slide that we have prepared here that Phil tweeted out of the screenshots. So when it comes to BlackRock, also Aviation Industry Corporation, Morgan Stanley there as well. They are making aircraft for the PLA. That includes, as the committee says, the 5th generation J-20 fighter jet, and a munitions company, a Chinese munitions company that produces artillery shells for the People's Liberation Army. Now, whatever you think of the United States policy towards China or China's policy towards the United States, it is the likelihood that those artillery shells could be used against American sailors, members of the American military in the years ahead is not that low. There's a likelihood, sadly, that's where we are, that the very artillery shells that BlackRock is funneling people's investments into could be used against people in the United States of America. This is, again, an investigation that the Select Committee has opened. I think those receipts are pretty strong. Obviously, Morgan Stanley and BlackRock are denying that they've done anything wrong. Ryan, what do you make of, I keep referring to them as the receipts, like we're at a Real Housewives reunion.
I mean, guys, that is insane. And this is strategic. This is strategic. Okay, like they are doing this stuff on purpose, and I don't want a company that has that much money available to them, like BlackRock and Morgan Stanley, to be in connection with a China, or not even Chinese, with a communist country like China, any communist country, and especially when you're using taxpayer funds, American taxpayer money that we're trying to invest, that you're investing over here to these Chinese companies, and the majority of the people's money that you're investing don't even know that their money is going towards these Chinese companies that are actually blacklisted in the United States. This got to be concerning, guys. This got to be concerning. So we just got to be aware of what the hell's going on. So I hope you guys like the content today. Again, make sure we like that video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Again, I really appreciate you guys. And I hope you have a great start to your week. Have a great Monday. Stay blessed. And I'll see you on the next video.